Well, good morning, Ohio. It's great to welcome you to our, under Governor DeWine, our third Trustees State Conference, the second one, disappointingly, by virtual format. We hope to be back in person. Some of you may recall 2 years ago, we had the largest statewide Trustees Conference in state history, and we'd love to get back to that format. But for now, virtually, we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. It's truly my honor to serve in the governor's cabinet, representing higher education for the state, and to be a part of this virtual conference. We hope to provide some information for you that will be helpful to your campuses and the important work that you do. We will welcome Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted later this morning. We also have another member of the governor's cabinet, the Adjutant General, John Harris, will be with us. And also a special presentation from Senior Vice Chancellor Mike Duffey on two important state priorities. We will conclude these presentations with a brief Q&A session. We're certain that we're not going to be able to answer all the questions this morning, but we will keep a record of every chat message and question, and we will have staff getting back with anyone who offers a question or a comment for us. I do want to just thank all of you on this at this meeting. Have very busy lives. The trustees, especially, taking away from your families or your businesses and to be with us today. And thank you for your service. So we really appreciate you doing that. We have 37 public institutions, 2-year and 4-year institutions in the state. Work very well together. And what you do is so closely aligned to Ohio's economic future and the well-being of people all over the state. So your job is just so very important. And we're going to talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but we know that we cannot just rely on high school graduates to build Ohio's future. We need to recruit talent from other states. We need to bring adults back to our campuses to be part of Ohio's economic future. That's also very important. About 1.6 million Ohioans have some college but no degree, and we need to welcome them back and give them an opportunity to get that degree or credential. So this is all very important. We have great challenges before us. We'll talk about some of those, and we'll talk about opportunities. We have some real opportunities to work together to make this state stronger. So one thing that happened today is that Governor DeWine realized a couple days ago that his schedule was not going to allow him to be live with us. He has been the most engaged governor, I believe, in the country. We follow this pretty closely with our higher education leaders on our campuses. And so we really appreciate his attention to higher education and done some significant things with discretionary CARES Act funding, for example, #3 in the country, and the governor's support around the country during this pandemic. So lots of positive things to say about Governor DeWine, but he's just going to provide, we have a very brief video welcome from the governor. And then right after that, we're going to move into a brief photo slideshow of some things that we've done over the course of this year and continue on with our program this morning. So if we could have the welcome from Governor Mike DeWine.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so very much for your great service as a trustee. The work you do is just so very important. Our higher education system gives opportunity to people to fulfill their God-given potential. And of course, it's a key component of our strong workforce development. Having highly skilled people who are ready to work helps us to attract and keep great businesses here. It's all part of our vision, a vision that Ohio is the best place to get an education, the best place to live, work, and to raise a family. Never hesitate to reach out to our higher education team, starting, of course, with our excellent Chancellor, Randy Gardner. Again, thank you. Thank you so very much for your service. I'm so very grateful for your valuable contribution to our colleges and our universities. We are stronger together. Happy holidays, everyone.
We appreciate the governor's message this morning, and we will begin our photo slideshow. I've always said you can't adequately serve in public office in Ohio and by just sitting in an office in Columbus. And so this will just show some of the events and some of the activities that we've had over the course of this year. I want to alert all of you who are looking for certain photos. We were not able to provide 37 of them, one for every college or university in the state. But we will do our best to highlight at least some of our visits throughout the year. The first photo, I was very pleased to take part in a celebration of Cincinnati State's and first graduates in their new applied bachelor's degree in land surveying, which meets a very important regional workforce need. So thank you to President Monica Posey and your team for including me in this event. I also appreciated the invitation from President Steve Johnson to speak at Sinclair Community College's spring commencement. It was a great day at Central State University to join Governor Mike DeWine, State Senator Bob Hackett, and University President Jack Thomas at the groundbreaking for the new housing for Central State's honors program for students. For the second consecutive summer, I was privileged to hand out diplomas to graduates at Marion Technical College at its unique drive-through graduation event, alongside in this photo with President Ryan McCall. One of my favorite days this year was a full day at Ohio University, helping students move back onto campus, meeting with members of the Board of Trustees, visiting with the staff at the George V. Voinovich School, and meeting with these students to talk about their experiences and ask questions about their career aspirations and how the university is meeting their needs. I thank President Sherman for a great day at Ohio University. This next photo is a little bit of a unique one, but it's an important collaborative effort in Ohio called Colleges to Careers, under the leadership of Director Kevin Miller of the Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. We have 17 colleges and universities who support students with disabilities in their various higher education needs. This photo highlighted adding Central State and Wilberforce universities to the program, joined by Lieutenant Governor Jon Husted. The photo was taken at the Charles Young Buffalo Soldiers National Monument in Wilberforce Museum, which honors the U.S. Army's first African-American colonel. In 2021, we worked hard to reach as many prospective students as possible in completing the FAFSA. Here, prior to the HBCU Ball at Ohio State University, Senior Chancellor Mike Duffey will provide a FAFSA update later this morning on this important endeavor. Governor DeWine and I were guests of Clark State College, President Joe Blondin, as we toured the Sweet Advanced Manufacturing Center in Shull Hall on the Clark State campus. We learned about advanced manufacturing programs and spoke with students in the welding program there. This next photo was a very important day for Ohio. In July, the state legislators involved in this legislation were joined by families of hazing victims to attend Governor DeWine's signing of Collins Law, which is known as not only a new anti-hazing legislation, but the combination of increased criminal penalties, comprehensive reporting requirements, and education and training expectations included in the law are known to be among the most comprehensive in the country. So thank all of you for your involvement in stamping out hazing across our state. It was a great day in Lima as Rose State President Cynthia Spears led the grand opening of the state-of-the-art Bora Center for Health Sciences. And joining us for this event were Senate President Matt Huffman and Speaker of the House Bob Cupp. I enjoyed my tour of the new Health Sciences Center in Hillsborough on the Southern State campus. Governor DeWine joined Southern State President Kevin Boyce, as did State Senator Bob Peterson. Standing next to President Boyce is Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Nicole Rhodes, who will be the next president at Southern State in 2022. A new ambitious partnership has been formed in Northwest Ohio between Owens Community College, Bowling Green State University, and the University of Findlay, with Presidents Dion Somerville, Rodney Rogers of Bowling Green, and Kathy Fell of Findlay in this photo. The event announced the new Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics and was held on the Owens Findlay campus. This next photo is with one of our newer presidents. I was invited to speak at the investiture of Dr. Gregory Postal of the University of Toledo. We paused here for just a brief photo just prior to the investiture luncheon held at Savage Hall on the UT campus. This next photo, another presidential investiture, which I was honored to participate in just last month with Ohio State University's Christina Johnson. This photo was taken at a reception in President Johnson's honor right after the ceremony. So I appreciate being involved in that as well. This next photo is with at the College of Food and Agricultural and Environmental Sciences facility here in Columbus. One of the many strengths at Ohio State is its College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. The college is very well known to have extension outreach in every one of Ohio's 88 counties, and is home to Waterman Farm, where this photo was taken, property where significant research is conducted year-round. The next photo is from a ribbon cutting for the new Cole Hall Excellence Training Center in Youngstown, which drew quite a large number of state legislators and community leaders, with Youngstown State President Jim Tressel at the right-hand side of this photo. In this calendar year, we were welcomed 3 new presidents around our state in the public sector. President Todd Hernandez of Northwest State Community College, who had extensive service and experience prior to his presidency. President Dion Somerville of Owens Community College, who I've engaged with a number of projects already this year. Really looking forward to her future at Owens Community College. And President Hugh Sherman of Ohio University, who of course has been a longstanding academic leader at Ohio University. All 3 do bring extensive, valued experiences to the table to join our distinguished team of higher education leaders in Ohio. Now, this next group is especially important to me. I'm very proud to work with a team of effective, talented public servants in senior leadership positions at the Ohio Department of Higher Education. The team I'm pleased to work with is second to none in state government. And by the way, this is a department with 20% fewer employees than it had 10 years ago. A few of the members of our leadership team include Senior Vice Chancellor Gary Cates, whose responsibilities are numerous and include leadership of our acclaimed Aspire program, helping Ohioans earn their GED or high school equivalency. Senior Vice Chancellor Mike Duffey, who leads our college comeback, FAFSA initiatives, Computer Science Commission, and among other duties. We also have Vice Chancellor for External Affairs and Education and Technology, Charles C., Vice Chancellor for Finance and Data Management, Fred Church, Vice Chancellor for Higher Education Workforce Alignment, Sherry Rice, Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Tom Sudkamp, and Jim Bennett, who is my Chief of Staff and Senior Policy Advisor. So we really appreciate just a personal thank you to them and to many on our team who you engage with as we work together on behalf of Ohio and Ohio students. Now, we had indicated that we have 37 presidents currently serving public colleges and universities in Ohio. 2 of them will be retiring from their presidencies next year. And therefore, they will not be with us in the same capacity at next year's conference. So we thought it would be appropriate to to recognize them at this time, just briefly. First is the president of Cuyahoga Community College, Dr. Alex Johnson. President Johnson has served as Tri-C's president since 2013, and before that was president and chancellor in other states, Pennsylvania and in New Orleans, perhaps other places. So President Johnson is going to say hello. I know he has a busy morning. I think he adjusted his calendar just a little bit so that he could join us this morning. And I thought I would ask if he would be gracious enough to say a word or two to the higher education team in Ohio at this time. Is President Johnson?
Sorry, I did not unmute my microphone, but Chancellor Gardner, thank you so very much for those very kind words. And thank you also for doing such a stalwart job in your capacity as Chancellor of all of Ohio's institutions of higher education. I would be remiss if I did not extend my appreciation to you and the Governor for your efforts that really designed to promote our institutions in such a significant way. You've increased state subsidy in response to COVID-19. You provided funding for re-enrollment and retention, emotional support, and campus security. And you've enhanced programs such as Choose Ohio First, College Credit Plus, Tech Cred, Ohio to Work, and of course the Applied Baccalaureate at the 2-year level, among other things, all within a very, very short time frame. So as I approach my retirement date this coming June, and as I reflect on my last 2 years in office, I am proud indeed that it coincided with such tremendous support from you and the Governor. All you've done is, I think, a tribute to the great group of presidents and organizations that we have assembled here in Ohio. And I want to once again thank you for being a great leader in higher education, not only in Ohio, but across the nation. So thank you for that.
Well, Mr. President, I should have instructed you a little stronger on this is about you, not about me. And but typically you're very kind, sir, and you've been a great partner to work with. I've been on your campus, as you know, and looked at how you build technology and build the workforce in Cuyahoga County, and so just really appreciate your leadership and wish you all the best in your future endeavors, because I know you're going to stay involved in serving people and serving the community. That's the kind of gentleman you are. So
thank you very much, sir.
All right. Well, we go from the northern part of the state to just about as far south as we can go. Our second president to retire in 2022 is Dr. Kevin Boyce of Southern State Community College. President Boyce has been Southern State president since 2010. And before that, he had, I believe, 31 years in K through 12 education as a teacher, as a principal, and as a school superintendent, and just did a fabulous job in the K through 12 space and brought his education passion to Southern State Community College. And so we would like to offer at this time President Boyce for any remarks that you would like to make, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Chancellor. I was so surprised to get your call late last Friday afternoon. I was sure you were calling me just to see if I was still on the job. But I'm just so honored to be a part of this recognition, and thank you so much. That's the kind of accessibility that we have to our Chancellor. So actually, as I reflect on my time here, I've had the honor to work alongside 4 different chancellors under 3 different governors. I suppose that says something to longevity and the job security in the chancellor spot. But it has truly been an honor to serve Southern State and these institutions. You know, one thing's remained constant. Whenever I speak to groups of people here in Hillsborough and in our communities, I remind them that we are their state community college. And we're only able to deliver on the affordable education piece of our mission with the critical support of the state of Ohio, whether that's in the form of important capital dollars, or the state share of instruction, or that RAPIDS grant that we've come to rely on. So we're just so thankful for that state support. I'd be remiss this morning if I didn't thank all of the trustees that are attending the meeting this morning for the gift of your time and talent and being the stewards of these great institutions across the state that we serve. I really appreciate the care with which the DeWine administration appoints individuals to our boards. Each appointee brings a fresh perspective, skill set, and really the desire to be a part of something as significant as the lives we touch, the family trajectories that we impact, and overall the improved economic health of our communities and the great state of Ohio. As I've heard Governor DeWine say many times in recent years, we are in this together. Thank you all so very much.
President Boyce, thank you very much for taking the time to join us and to offer those words. We've enjoyed very much working with you, and I because it was public, I did indicate who your successor might be, but she's been blessed to work with you, and we'll be able to hit the ground running, of course, in serving Southern State Community College. So thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you being with us. For those of you who have not met this next gentleman I'm going to introduce, you are indeed in for a special experience. Major General Jon Harris serves with me in the governor's cabinet, as not only superbly performed his duties as in leading the Ohio National Guard, excuse me, he has been an incredible ally working with our college universities during this pandemic. Many of you know that firsthand. In addition, General Harris is perhaps Ohio's staunchest ally and advocate as Ohio has become a national leader in cybersecurity development and research. We have 18 Ohio colleges and universities that are a part of what we call regional programming centers in Ohio's cybersecurity system. And so we thank all of you who are involved in cybersecurity for that involvement, particularly the University of Cincinnati, where Ohio's Cyber Range Institute is headquartered. I know the general was there just a few weeks ago on the ground to work with them to learn more about the program, and brought back a great report to the rest of us in the cabinet about the importance of cybersecurity in Ohio. So I could go on about this gentleman. It's just been an honor to work with him. So everyone, please welcome one of Ohio's most significant public servants and someone who is making Ohio safer and stronger every day, our Adjutant General, Major General Jon Harris. General, welcome. I'm making the assumption someone on our tech team is trying to locate, or I know that the general was on earlier with us. I know that.
Chancellor, he was on earlier. His mic is not currently muted,
Okay.
but I'm also not hearing anything from him either.
Okay.
How do you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
we can hear you. We cannot see you, General. We'd like to see you if that technology is available.
Okay, well, we are dealing with a myriad of DoD firewalls and servers, so I'll do the best I can here.
You're now on, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Great to
good.
see you. Great to see you, sir.
I'll just have to hold this mic closer if that's what it takes to get the audio. But I want to repeat what I just said, and that's that this would be impossible without your advocacy, Chancellor, and the work that you and your team have done to help bring this to fruition. Jim Bennett on your team and Charles C., of course, have doing the work literally at the ground level to make this come to fruition. And I can't emphasize the importance of the work that's being done. The Ohio Cyber Range is something that was merely a vision just a few years ago. And just to emphasize the criticality of what's being accomplished here, just recently, one flaw was discovered, Log4i, I think it was called, in a software, and there have already been 800,000 attempts to exploit that vulnerability in our systems by bad actors, by nefarious actors who would love to bring us to our knees. And quite frankly, if any of our users there, if any of our presidents or trustees are familiar with the Cognos incident that happened recently, with that human resource system that was not only a data breach, but a worldwide ransomware attack. It just highlights the importance of our ability to secure the nation and protect the nation in this cyberspace. So again, I can't emphasize the importance of the work that this partnership has accomplished in this very short time. We were challenged by the governor not very long ago to figure out how in the world do we help not only protect our own systems, but also to protect Ohio, and again to help protect the nation in this cyberspace. So we worked very hard at that, and this is a huge success because we all know that cybersecurity is impossible without collaboration. I believe that triad of government and academia and the private sector are absolutely essential to success in this area. And any one of the legs of that stool are weak, then we won't have cybersecurity that we need to protect the nation. So everybody talks about that collaboration. Very few people have been able to figure out how to crack that code. So here in Ohio, we formed the Ohio Cyber Collaboration Committee to get after that. And the incredible success of that committee can't be overstated, mostly because the people who were appointed to that committee, both from those three sectors I just mentioned, really got after doing this work very quickly. And they developed four lines of effort. One of those was education and workforce development. The second one was the establishment of a cyber range. Third was how do we do cyber response and protection here in Ohio? And then the fourth was how do we do governance? And I want to talk about the second one that I mentioned, which is the establishment of Ohio Cyber Range, because we knew we needed a place to create a virtual training grounds for our cyber professionals if we were going to get after the first line of effort, which is workforce development and education. So we partnered with the University of Cincinnati and University of Akron, which are the anchor points for this cyber range. And that cyber range creates an environment that we can very safely not only test capabilities, but we can also train our future cyber professionals. And of course, shortly following the establishment of the range was figuring out how do we govern this thing. So we established the Ohio Cyber Range Institute, which is a governance committee comprised of some of the governor's cabinet members, but the primary drivers of that are Chancellor Gardner and the Adjutant General's Department as the primary stakeholders from the government side in the governance of that range. And listen, this is so much more than just hardware and software. This is a place not only for collaboration, but it has grown exponentially into a place where we develop curriculum for training cyber professionals, deliver that curriculum. In fact, over last year during COVID, we conducted 14 industry recognized boot camps to provide credentials to people, and again, to ensure that our cyber professionals are getting the credentials they need to help protect us in this space. Conducted 160 K through 12 classes, 397 higher education classes, 208 instructors for the range have been certified, and over 10,000 students have been users on that system to date. So again, exceeded every expectation. But what's most important is that the three things. One, that we've established a virtual environment, a range, so to speak, so that we can not only train our professionals in a safe space and not affecting or providing vulnerabilities to the real network, but also the initiative that's been developed to partner with and grow this thing to be a statewide collaboration. So 15 regional programming centers have grown from this partnership. So as I mentioned, the anchor points are University of Cincinnati, University of Akron, but around that are also regional programming centers where other partners join us to help develop curriculum, help deliver that curriculum, and also help us train our cyber professionals for the future. One of the greatest challenges we have is even when we graduate cyber professionals from our higher education institutions, our industry wants experience. So as we train folks on this range, we can also document those tasks that they've done and validate that they in fact do have experience in those tasks. So we can deliver a brand new graduate with the experience and documented experience that will accelerate their hiring into the workplace. So the University of Cincinnati, Akron, Ohio State, University of Dayton, Rio Grande, depending on who we're talking to, Eastern Gateway Community College, Cincinnati, Dayton, at Cedarville University, Owens Community College, Lorain County Community College, Stark State, Pass Foundation, Cleveland State, and Case Western, our partnership and a collaboration for one of these sites, as well as Tiffin University and Findlay for collaboration on one of these sites. So as you can see, this thing has exploded into a statewide collaboration that brings those three partners together: government, academia, and the private sector, to help us secure the state of Ohio, protect our critical infrastructure, help us protect our knowledge, our information, protect our data, our intellectual capacity, but most importantly, our intellectual property. But most importantly, it protects Ohioans, the individual Ohioans, and it helps us develop that workforce for the future, which is so critical. It's hard to find professionals to train cyber professionals, and the Cyber Range and the Cyber Range Institute and the collaboration created mostly by the Department of Higher Education is going to be critical to our future to be able to protect Ohioans. So I'm here to say thank you to Chancellor Gardner, to the trustees, to Jim Bennett and to Charles C. and all the folks who've been able to bring this thing to fruition, but most importantly, to accelerate its rollout so that we can ensure we're protecting Ohioans. So thank you all very much.
Well, General, thank you. What a great leader in many ways, and then this additional partnership, collaborative way. So I can't think of anyone I would rather work with on something this important and something that I know very little about. And so thankfully, we have people in our department and people that work with you and your leadership, your personal leadership on this, not just delegating it to other staff, but to be personally engaged and involved. It just makes your leadership even stronger and more significant for us. And there's no question Ohio is going to be, if not already, a national leader in cybersecurity work. So thank you again, sir, for taking your very busy time to be with us today. We value it very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Well, that was special, everyone. The work will continue. And for those who want additional information about our cyber range and cybersecurity efforts, please email us, let us know, and we will connect as the traditional ways that you can be involved, because it potentially can affect everyone on almost every sector of Ohio. So it's just a super important project and a issue that we all need to be at our best. Next, I'm going to kind of highlight a few issues, some achievements and highlights that we've had over the year of 2021, and I hopefully sets the stage for some additional improvements we can make in serving students in the state. But I think part of it is going to be, and we're going to have there's like 5 slides coming next that will kind of help demonstrate this kind of where we are, the state of where we are in terms of higher education in Ohio. So this first one basically shows Ohio's demographics problem. It clearly shows Ohio and the Midwest have challenges with respect to population trends, high school graduates. We're just going to have fewer people graduating from high school, not because of lower graduation rates. Actually, Ohio does pretty well with high school graduation rates. But the fact is that we're just going to have fewer graduates who are going to be eligible to be part of our workforce. This is a significant problem. We must strive to overcome this demographic challenge, and we do have a plan to do that. This next slide shows that we've made real progress in the last 12 years. 12 years ago, Ohio actually lost more high school students to other states than we received from other states to come to college here. But this chart shows some significant progress we've made with some of our neighboring states, but it doesn't even tell the entire story. Today, Ohio is 4th best in the nation in net migration of students. 12,000 more students choose to come to Ohio than leave our state to go somewhere else. This is something not very well known to people. You've heard the phrase brain drain, and it really doesn't apply to our college efforts anymore. And it's very well in part because of the quality of our institutions. We have a plan to do even more, and we must do more. And we will work with you to build on this record. Something relatively new in our states called College Comeback. We have a new initiative that we launched just this year to build college enrollments and attainment all over Ohio. We have, as we've stated, about 1.6 million Ohioans with some college credit, but not a degree or credential. And we are going to be asking all of us to work together and work harder to welcome those who have stopped out or paused out to come back for a credential or a degree. This map just briefly shows 8 colleges in Northeast Ohio who have committed to this mission. They're working together to find ways to work together on this task. There is no mandate yet for anyone in Ohio, but we now have expectations that every region in Ohio will establish, and every institution will at least have some form of a college comeback coalition or initiative to bring back these learners to our campuses. We have plans, and Senior Vice Chancellor Mike Duffey will provide some more information on college comeback and stranded credits in about 30 minutes or so. This is an exciting and promising endeavor. Regarding the value of higher education, this is one of many charts we could provide that basically says, you know, we're not trying just to build enrollments just so our college campuses can be larger. We're building enrollments because we want attainment. We want additional value added to people's lives through higher education. And I really believe that's very important. So we know that wages and earnings are higher with college education. We know that unemployment rates will be lower with college education. We know healthcare outcomes are better with education. So this chart briefly shows that these are not our statistics. These come from the Federal Reserve and from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But it's just important for us to restate this. In fact, in my budget testimony this year, we said that through a study by Ithaca, that $1 billion could be saved or generated if we just had a 5% increase in net attainment in Ohio. And that means half associate degrees, half bachelor's degrees. So you have that combination. We would save $1 billion through either increased tax revenues or decreased pressures on social services spending. So the value of higher education is clear, and we must work together to make it even stronger. In terms of employment trends, again, this graph here just shows that college degrees, attainment really truly matters. This chart actually stops in 2019, and the reason there is one available in 2020, but I think it is impacted by the pandemic so much. You would find even a greater gap between those without a college degree and those with, because of the pandemic. Hopefully that will subside a little bit because everyone wants to be a part of the workforce, or we need to provide those opportunities. But this really shows the value, again, of higher education attainment for the people of our state. So these graphs, these charts, hopefully paint a picture that's important for us. We want to speak a little bit more about a few other issues that are, I think, important for you to know. First of all, and every morning we wake up and we look at what's happening with the coronavirus, with COVID. The bottom line is this is still a challenge. And with the new variant that's now coming across the United States, I know you'll do everything you can to make your colleges, the campuses, as safe as possible. And there's no new guidance or anything today to offer. But I want you to know we appreciate all you've been through so far. Almost every one of our campuses has had a lower infection rate than the communities in which you are located. Students have done a fabulous job. Our college leaders have done a fabulous job of really making a difference in the state. And so thank you for doing all you can. And I would say that Governor DeWine, in terms of providing CARES Act relief, coronavirus relief dollars to our campuses, we were third best in the entire country in providing that support. And so that's Governor DeWine and his commitment to being helpful. Probably more to do and more to come. The governor's call for graduate tuition at in-state rates. We talked about that a little bit last year. The one area of higher education that has grown even during the pandemic has been our graduate students, number of graduate students attending colleges, universities in Ohio. And we are now clearly stronger because of that effort. And it's perhaps in part going to continue to grow because we have a policy now that says anyone who received their undergraduate degree in Ohio, regardless of whether they're from another state or not, will be granted in-state graduate tuition rates. Thank you for all those who have been engaged in that. That makes our trajectory as a state even stronger going forward. We also, of course, have the best, most transparent tuition guarantee of any state in the country. This provides predictability, transparency, and pricing. Is an important affordability measure. And so this tuition guarantee just is a real strength and helps meet the needs of families and students. Another program that's newer in Ohio is the Tech Cred program. And this is specifically not a higher ed program. It's a Department of Development initiated workforce transformation. But I want to thank all the college universities that have taken part in Tech Cred. This is where we provide grants to businesses to help upskill, retrain incumbent workers. Latest numbers show 1,615 Ohio employers have been involved in Tech Cred, and 32,269 tech-focused credentials have been provided for Ohio employees. Lieutenant Governor Husted has been a real leader in this effort. And he may speak to that a little bit later this morning. This was established in the first DeWine Husted budget and was actually increased in the latest budget. So again, thank you to all of you who are on the ground, on the front lines in the workforce supporting Tech Cred. Another program that really meets the needs of workers in our state and students who are striving to be part of that workforce is in the area of short-term certificates. The General Assembly provided $7 million for short-term certificates in the budget for community colleges and for Ohio technical centers. These credentials are less than a year in length, but are designed to rapidly meet the needs of regional workforce challenges. So thank you for all of those. And those are just starting up again across the state. So thank you, all of you, for your involvement in that. A year ago, we decided to do something that's never been done before in Ohio, and that's provide a capital grant specifically for campus safety. Never been done before. $5 million agreed to by the governor and the General Assembly. And so that was part of the capital bill. We don't know the future of that program yet, whether there'll be another round of funding for that. We hope there will be, but we are working hard to provide additional funding for campus safety and for infrastructure needs on our campuses. The capital budget has been delayed by a couple of weeks as to where we thought it might be in the General Assembly's process. Look for a capital budget maybe later April or May this year, but we believe it's still on track, and we look forward to advocacy for the capital budget in the months ahead. Another program that's really part of our affordability and access strategies, and that's College Credit Plus. $883 million has been provided or saved for prospective college students under College Credit Plus over the last 6 years. 3,500 students have received their associate's degree before they even got their high school diploma. Left their high school with an associate's degree in hand. Many of them went on to additional collegiate work at four-year universities right out of high school. We are continuing to work to provide more flexibility for College Credit Plus. And the bottom line is this: for literally tens of thousands of students, a college degree is more affordable today than it was 5 or 6 years ago because they took advantage of College Credit Plus. And I might say we are reviewing our College Credit Plus program. We have a number of campuses in Ohio who have done just a tremendous job of reaching students and serving students. Candidly, we have a few colleges, public colleges, that are required by law, universities required by law to participate. and may not be quite as active as we would expect you to be. So we may be chatting with you after the first of the year to talk about your involvement in the program and to strengthen this important program for students in Ohio. We have two new programs that about 10 days ago I couldn't speak to. And that's new projects, kind of breaking news, new projects that were just enacted by the General Assembly under House Bill 169. The first one is a real passion of mine, and that's teachers and the teacher shortage that we have in this state, not just in the STEM field, science, mathematics, also in a number of other areas, computer science, special needs education. But we have a significant, if I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but the number of potential prospective teacher candidates in Ohio has gone down dramatically in the last 10 years. So we have some real work to do. We think that's fundamentally part of our mission with the Department of Higher Education. We have $5.2 million just appropriated by the General Assembly to work with the Department of Education and to provide grants for innovative teacher education prep programs. So there will be RFP opportunities for those of you in this space coming in 2022. The other issue that's new for those of you in the greater Appalachian region, the Foundation for Appalachian Ohio Fund will be receiving $4 million through the governor's GEAR program, Emergency Relief Program. And this will be in partnership with Appalachia, Ohio, to recruit and retain K-12 educator workforce personnel. We are in the very early stages of this program, so we will certainly be consulting with you and talking with you in the days ahead as to how we can work together in the Appalachian region to build out the workforce in that region. So those are just a number of things. I know there are a number of other programs and issues that you've been involved with that have been really important, and we'd like to share even more. If you have questions and issues, you can certainly send them to us in the chat, but also send us an email, make a phone call anytime. We're glad to work with you. The next person I'm going to introduce is someone who has information on a number of key initiatives for us. Senior Vice Chancellor Mike Duffey has served 8 years in the House of Representatives and was a chairman of the House Higher Education Committee and now serves us in a variety of capacities. He will talk about FAFSA, the importance of FAFSA and college comeback initiatives. So he will make remarks, and then we'll do some Q&A on these programs or other programs in the time left before the Lieutenant Governor joins us. So with that, Senior Vice Chancellor Mike Duffey. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Duffey, Senior Vice Chancellor at the Ohio Department of Higher Education. I have the privilege to work on special projects, policy development, many new initiatives for the Chancellor and for the DeWine Husted administration. Today, I'm going to speak on just two topics that the Chancellor asked me to address: FAFSA completion and the Ohio College Comeback Initiative, and I will be brief. FAFSA completion, Ohio College Comeback, why do they matter? If there's one thing I'd like you to remember today, it's that FAFSA completion and re-enrolling adults, which is what College Comeback is working to do, are both about enrollment, and enrollment leads to attainment. As the Chancellor mentioned, a 5% change in attainment across the state could be a $1 billion impact. First up, FAFSA completion, why does it matter? How can our institutions expect enrollment to trend positively when FAFSA completion, both in Ohio and nationally, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, has been historically down? We're starting to make some gains here in Ohio. We've got a FAFSA 21 and FAFSA 22 initiative. Thank you for the institutions that have been part of that. But FAFSA is the route to opportunity that the governor talked about earlier. It's the way that students receive Pell, OCOG, Ohio College Opportunity Grant, many private scholarships, and of course your institutional aid is often based on that. This is our campaign. It's called It's For You, itsforyou.org. It's not called FAFSA, It's For You, because most people have problems with typing out FAFSA and thinking about how it's pronounced. But it's really about talking to the public about their future. And in the DeWine Husted administration, this is the first time in the state of Ohio that we've really had a FAFSA completion initiative at the state level. Why didn't this happen in the past? I think, one question is, who owns this? Is it a K-12 initiative? Is it a higher ed initiative? I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. In our advertising for this campaign, we talk about $80 million being on the table. In a second, I'm going to tell you that the figure is a little bit higher than that. These numbers change every year. Enrollment across the state changes every year. But let me show you the math. There are this is ballpark, and Fred Church and I were going over this yesterday, and it varies from year to year, whether you look at head count or total graduations, but a median kind of compromise numbers, 120,000 high school 12th graders every year in the state of Ohio. And ballpark, about 77,000 of them are going to complete the FAFSA. That's about a 64% completion rate, which is in the top 15 of all 50 states across the United States. But that still leaves us with about 43,000 non-completers. We know that according to the most recent data from the U.S. Department of Education, about 55% of FAFSA completers likely qualify for Pell. And we know from IPEDS that the average Pell grant is $4,491. So we can do the math and we can come up with a pretty big number pretty quickly, $106.2 million per cohort of students, that if we could get these 43,000 students, which are realistically, that's 100%, we're not going to achieve that, right? But let me give you the sense for what's potentially attainable. What's the universal possibility? Then think about amplifying this across all cohorts to what we have concurrently enrolled across all of our institutions. Look at the weighted average time to degree across both 2 years and 4 years. And we're looking at almost $500 million concurrently in money that could be drawn down just on Pell, I would ask you to think for your institutions, what could this mean system-wide for all of our institutions and for student success? The good news for you today is that IHEs are not the primary driver or responsible party for FAFSA completion historically. That's been K-12 and college access groups. But I would say to you, and I would make the argument, if IHEs are the primary non-student beneficiary of FAFSA completion, and you are, then what might you do to help increase FAFSA completion in your own community? College comeback. This is the second part of what I wanted to talk to you about. Guidance that we issued in May. Declining birth rates, you know all of this, and as the Chancellor mentioned, 1.5 to 1.6 million Ohioans with some college, no degree. Realistically, we know only a small subset of that could come back, but even 5% of 1.6 is 80,000 students that we could have back in the system. So what have we done as a department? On May 12th, we issued the college comeback guidance. It was simply guidance. It was simply answering the question for institutions of higher education in Ohio. If you want to forgive student debt in exchange for re-enrollment, can you do so legally in Ohio? The answer is yes. And can you get state share of instruction subsidy? The answer is yes. We wanted to make sure that you felt comfortable that you could do that kind of thing if you wanted to do that. The big picture, this isn't just about debt. It's not just about completion. It's about attainment. It's about Ohio's economy, more degrees in a more competitive state. But the economics of it for your institution are also positive. Suppose you charge $5,000 a year as a 2-year institution, or $10,000 a year as a 4-year college. If forgiving a $1,000 balance or even a $5,000 balance, as Cleveland State is doing right now, secures that re-enrollment for you, you're still way ahead, right? But it gets better because debt collection historically in the state of Ohio has not been that strong or productive. Typically in any given year, once you certify debt to the Ohio Attorney General, you're only collecting about 7% of that debt. So $1,000 in debt in any given year might only be worth $70 to you. There's no mandate, as the Chancellor mentioned, to do a college comeback program. But of course, as he mentioned, he's hopeful that every public IHE in Ohio will engage in some kind of re-enrollment effort for stopped out students. And many of you are already doing that, and we want to thank you for that. And that could include college comeback, but it could be something that you just decide to do that's completely your own flavor. A special thanks to some of Ohio's college leaders. We've got great institutions that are already doing college comeback type programs. I want to thank you. Many of you have called me. You're not required to call me when you want to do one of these programs. We don't approve these. We help you and we help answer questions. So if you have a college comeback program or you have an adult re-engagement, re-enrollment strategy and you want to let us know about it, we want to learn about it, we want to celebrate you. So please just give us a call, let us know about it. And we hope that you join in our excitement for the Ithaca Project in Northeast Ohio and the many institutions and presidents who have stacked hands and said that they're going to work on this issue. I know that Rand Corporation and others are looking at this, that it has the potential to kind of be an observable model for not just for the state of Ohio, but nationally. And we're really excited to see where that will go. So thank you for that. Lastly, the Chancellor asked me to share my contact information. This is my personal mobile number, my direct email. My joke is the Chancellor will be quick to say, call Mike anytime on college comeback or FAFSA completion. Thanks so much. And I know that we have a few minutes before the Lieutenant Governor joins us to answer some questions.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Duffey. Yes, call Mike anytime, but it doesn't mean that you're not permitted to call the Chancellor either. But so that was, I wanted to make sure that was clear. As the presidents know, you can text, call anytime, and some of you have even done that on my phone as we speak. Not about this program, but other issues. But that's one of the things I love about it is the direct connection with our higher education leaders around the state. At this moment, we have the Lieutenant Governor coming in about 12 minutes, according to our last known schedule. So we're going to begin right now a Q&A session. If you would, I indicated before, if you could send a personal question or chat issue to elevate to us through Jim Bennett, my Chief of Staff, who's on the participants list. Just send him the question. We're just not able to be with 100 count 167 or so people on this call, not able to do it individually. But if you elevate a question, I know we have one or two already, Jim, that if you want to share with me and I'll try to answer, or if it's a question specifically for Mike, that's fine too. But if you could share with me, Jim, I'll try to tackle a few questions. We'll hear from the Lieutenant Governor, and then we'll kind of do a cleanup, Q&A, wrap up, and we'll definitely conclude before 11:30, everyone, just so everyone knows the schedule. So, Jim, what do you have for me?
I've got a couple already here, Chancellor. We'll start with this one. You spent 33 years in the General Assembly before becoming Chancellor. What advice do you have for our institution as we interact with and navigate the current General Assembly?
Lots of thoughts go through my mind on that question. Look, I think this. I think our presidents do a great job of advocating for higher education, and you're involved in your communities. I think also sometimes our universities don't necessarily utilize the connectivity of your trustees. Many of the trustees are business and community leaders, established people in the community who have relationships or should have relationships with members of the General Assembly. And there may be other people on your campuses, instructors or other personnel that can be, valued advocates. So I would simply say, look at the totality of your team and be engaged in that way. Make sure they understand it's personal, the real value, and sometimes specific examples might be kind of almost like a one-off example. I'll get one that comes to mind. Lorain Community College had a student who graduated last spring from Lorain Community College, and she's so talented, and Lorain did such a great job in helping her on her education career. She is now a student at Yale University. Right now, a student at Yale University and on her way to becoming a physician. I believe that was her last advocacy, her last vocation. So that's just an example of when we hear that, we say, wow, look at the value that Lorain Community College provided. We want to help support higher education. Just a one-off example. Lots of great examples out there around the state. So I would just say utilize the totality of your team in advocating with the General Assembly, and don't be afraid to ask. I always said that, when I was in the General Assembly, you're welcome, hopefully respectfully, but to ask if you have an ask or a concern or an issue. They are public servants. They work for you. They work for all of us as well. So that's my quick take on that question, Jim.
Thank you, Chancellor. Next question that has come in here. Do you think it's still a possibility for are higher education institutions to receive a portion of the ARPA funds that are still available to the state?
Well, good question. I work for the governor and for the governor's team, and so I don't want to get out in front of any announcements because we truly don't know the answer to that question. The one thing I can say is both the community colleges in the state and the universities provided some ideas to the governor and to me as to how we might utilize some of those federal dollars. And the one issue that came up, and this is kind of public because it's been worked through with the college universities, and that's utilizing some additional one-time type of money in the capital area for lab equipment or building out facilities, providing partnerships, basically a program similar to what Rapids is. Many of you know what Rapids is. And I know some of you have already talked to legislators because they've told me that you called them and wrote to them and told them that would be important. That is clearly a workforce issue. That's one where 4-year and 2-year institutions have partnered together in the past. We have a track record. So that's at least one area that I know that many of you have advocated for. And so we still have about $600 or so million left in the first round of federal dollars and another $2.7 billion left. This is, again, the totality of the state. Those decisions, though, get made jointly by the governor and the General Assembly, so not within our authority as the chancellor or as the department to make these decisions. But we do believe, because higher education is very important to the economic future of our state, we believe that there are certainly ways in which we can be a part of that. And again, the most recent example was the Appalachian funds and the teacher shortage funds. It just happened last week. So we expect more to come. We hope that there will be more to come in the new year.
Thank you. All right, Chancellor, the next question is as follows. How do you respond to those who question the value of higher education or say that a college degree is no longer worth the investment?
Well, the answer to that for some people might even be controversial, but some of the slides that we presented, and I'd be glad to share those with you, send those back out to you if you want to have them. It is, I mean, when you look at both the associate degrees and bachelor's degrees that have been proven necessary or at least viewed as important by employers. If it wasn't for the fact that the business community, the employers of the state wanted these college degrees or these credentials, that they wanted workers who had these skill sets and this background, almost all of the jobs in the last 10 years have gone to those with college degrees of some nature or industry recognized credentials, but even more so degrees. Those are just the statistics. Those aren't statistics that we've developed here at the department. Those are Federal Bureau of Labor statistics. They are from the Federal Reserve, the tracks. These are census tracking. We've also tracked, for that matter, Jim, we've tracked how many people go to college in Ohio and stay here. 76% go to 4-year institutions in Ohio, stay here in Ohio to be part of our workforce. And even a higher percentage who graduate from our community colleges stay in Ohio. So I would also say that it's a worthwhile investment because we need a stronger, talented workforce. And the best way, the key way to do that is to attract talent to the state or keep talent in the state. So it's hard. It's really challenging, competitive world out there. But we're on it, and we've actually got a pretty good track record, but we need to build on it because the demographic issues that we shared earlier are just, that's not something we can do much about, at least immediately, in terms of building the population of the state, except by providing as much attraction to the state, a positive workforce, and a positive jobs climate. And but I gave budget testimony on this as well, and I just don't think there's any question about the value of higher education. We need to continue to work at it and continue to be advocates, but there is statistically, empirically, there's just no question of the value, in my judgment.
Thank you. I've only got one more question in the chat here. So for those of you, if you have questions, feel free to send them to us. If we can't get to them today before we turn to the Lieutenant Governor, we'd be glad to respond to them in writing after the conference.
Jim, that's a good point. We will keep a record of any issue, idea, question that gets raised and it's sent to us in the chat. That's actually part of our record. And we will share that with other staff members as well, and we will respond to that. That's a really good point. Thank you for that.
And this question could be for you. It could also be for Mike or a combination, but are we aware of any funds, or can we advocate for funds to help market the College Comeback program to those Ohioans who have some college but no degree?
Well, let me start with we've actually utilized some funds in some fashion already to help in this regard in terms of advocacy. Interesting that even our FAFSA initiative matters to College Comeback, because some of those that we would bring back need to fill out the FAFSA to be eligible, to find out how affordable it is. If we don't have a strong FAFSA completion program, there are a lot of families, a lot of prospective students, even those who have paused out and stopped out, they're still eligible for Pell Grants, for OCOG in some cases. And so I would say at least we've got some strategies in place. I think as we build out, well, Second Chance Grant is another one. This was one that was in the budget bill. Second Chance Grant gives $2,000 grants to colleges, universities, to students who have paused out in the last 5 years. I didn't mention that one today. It's another initiative. Let me just do this while I'm on. Ohio University right now leads the four-year institutions in the number of Second Chance Grant students. We keep track of this every day. And North Central State College in Mansfield is the leader in the community college sector. So if you anybody wants to compete with Ohio U and North Central, continue your advocacy and your work on Second Chance Grant. If you have questions about Second Chance Grant, but that's additionally part of bringing students back as a college comeback initiative of sorts. So those are two things that come to mind.
Thank you. Got a few questions about the cyber initiative, cyber range that the Adjutant General spoke about. So we'll make sure that we follow up with everybody that's in attendance today. We'll send information to you where you can learn more about that initiative.
Okay. And it's about 11:10 almost. I don't know whether we know, Jim, has anybody been queued whether the Lieutenant Governor is available? Because if he is, I don't want to keep the Lieutenant Governor waiting, and would like to do an introduction if he's available. Does anyone? Do we have to know yet?
I'm here somewhere.
Okay, well, Lieutenant Governor, I'm gonna, as you know, you deserve an introduction. So
I don't know about that.
Well, you're gonna get one. Look, I'm really, this is a longtime friend, ladies and gentlemen. I've had the privilege to work with Jon Husted when he was in the state legislature. He was my Speaker of the House when I served in the House, and then continued to serve with him across the aisle when I was in the House, or when I was in the House and he was in the Senate. There has been no one in the state more engaged on a daily, perhaps hourly basis than Jon Husted when it comes to workforce development and workforce preparation. He also cares about things like innovation and technology and computer science, and these are not my strengths. So we make a pretty good team where he can engage with me and make me understand the value and importance of those things for Ohio's future. He actually, as some of you know by now, certainly he sponsored the Choose Ohio First program. It's been one of our marquee programs in the state to build STEM careers and STEM students. $43 million, by the way, in a new RFP that is still out. And if your institution has not inquired or provided an RFP response back, you have until tomorrow. Tomorrow is actually the deadline, but it's $43 million. And this program has gotten stronger because Jon Husted is the Lieutenant Governor. He's provided great advocacy and insight and actually strengthened the program. It's now more workforce based, and it also serves underrepresented populations in a significant way. So we really appreciate your leadership there, Lieutenant Governor. And of course, me being the, as you can tell in the background, I've actually got a football back there somewhere, but 2 basketballs over my shoulder. You know that I care a little bit about athletics and had a family and involved in athletics, but it wouldn't be an appropriate introduction without mentioning, and I thought this for way before I started working for him and reporting to him as Lieutenant Governor, that if you, this guy is a competitor, ladies and gentlemen. He competes. He's been doing that all of his life. And he was a All-American defensive back for the national champion University of Dayton Flyers in 1989. And he brings that same competitiveness, that spirit of working hard and getting things done to the job as Lieutenant Governor. So it's just great. I know you had a really challenging morning already, and it's great you could spend some time with us. You've got trustees and presidents in the public sector all over Ohio on this virtual conference, Lieutenant Governor, and the time is all yours now, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Randy. Appreciate the introduction, chance to chat with all of you today. I'm gonna share some thoughts that are important to me, I think important to Ohio, and certainly if we have time, take a couple of questions or hear comments. But look, there is a rapid evolution occurring in our economy and society due to advancements in technology. It is creating great opportunity, it creates displacement, and it creates, it forces change. And the states that get it right, the states that are on the winning edge of this evolution are going to be the ones that prosper, and the ones that don't will fall behind. Same is true of nations, same is true of communities, and certainly true of your institutions. Are they evolving fast enough to keep pace with where the world is going? I think it's a question that I hope you ask yourselves quite frequently. Just give you a snapshot of where we are in the state right now. I remember during the depths of the pandemic, I thought it would take a decade to recover from a joblessness point of view. But literally, I just got the numbers this morning, there are fewer than 50,000 people in Ohio on unemployment right now, which is near a record low level since we've been keeping that statistic in 1986. To put that in perspective, we have 50,000 people on unemployment and 150,000 jobs on ohiomeansjobs.com that pay $50,000 a year or more. We are creating jobs faster than we can find people to fill them. And technology is changing the nature of work and how we can work, as we know that distance learning and working are now a growing part of the landscape and how people do things. We're facing demographic challenges, as you all know, in terms of having a next generation of a workforce, just in terms of sheer numbers, let alone the challenges we have in making sure that people have the right kinds of job skills. The statistic is relatively true that Ohio high school graduates, only that 40% of them, approximately 40% of them, are neither career or college ready when they graduate. We all have more work to do in that space. But I want to talk with you about how we're going to deliver these new skills, these new opportunities. Look, if you are not fully integrating distance opportunities to be part of the culture of how you get an education on your campuses, I think you're missing a trend, because it's more and more of how people do things. And I hope that as a result of some of those things that you're going to change the model and the way you do business. I think that physical spaces are going to be less important for students than they once were in terms of places that you physically go to take classes. And I hope that you are going to use some of those opportunities to bring businesses and entrepreneurs to your campus, to more closely integrate the way work and education are occurring, because I believe that education is no longer is not going to be a destination where you go. It's going to be more fully integrated into how work and education work together. So the more closely, this is what we're doing in high schools. We're trying to get businesses and high schools to work closely together on each other's campuses, education going on at the business and business on the campuses to more closely integrate to produce more talent and to produce the kind of talent that businesses need and where the opportunities are. And the same thing should be occurring on our college campuses. And to the extent that you do this, I think you're going to find a great deal more success and opportunity. I also would challenge you that if you believe in what's going on in your campuses, if you believe that you're doing world-class research, if you believe that you're creating entrepreneurs, I ask you, are you investing in those entrepreneurs? Are you using the resources in your endowments to actually invest in the businesses and the ideas that are being generated on your campuses? Because right now we do not have enough venture capital and early stage capital investing in our entrepreneurs and businesses. And if you really believe in what's going on, are you actually investing your money in those places? I ask you to take a look at those kinds of things to see if you believe you're succeeding in that. Another thing that I have been challenging our team on through programs like Tech Cred, which for those of you that don't know, Tech Cred is where we pay up to $2,000 for anyone in Ohio to earn a workforce and industry recognized credential in an in-demand field. And are your offerings on campus adapting to where the economy is going? Because I can tell you, just in some of the projects we're working on, that the Ohio economy is going to have to adapt quickly. We're going to start losing jobs from the old economy and need to fill them in with jobs from the new economy. As we look forward, more and more jobs are going to be coming in AI, in cybersecurity, in the cloud, from quantum, things that when I was in college didn't exist. And I'm not that old, Randy, right? So this is the evolution of where the economy is going. And I ask, is the evolution of what you're doing on your campuses keeping pace with where things are going? Because to the extent that we get this right and you get this right, Ohio will prosper. And if we don't, we'll fall behind. So those are just some thoughts and challenges that I want to share with you today. We have a lot of opportunity in Ohio as reshoring from global reshoring is occurring. It's happening in America. It's happening more and more in the Midwest, and it's happening more and more in Ohio. We're going to have new kinds of business opportunities in our state, and we'll need the workforce to take advantage of that. Just in the last 2 years alone, we've had 30 companies from the coast either move their investments to operations in Ohio that have resulted in more than 9,000 jobs and $600 million in new payroll. There are going to be more and more of these opportunities coming our way. And to the extent that we capture them will be dependent on whether we can supply the workforce. I thank you for your service and look forward to any quick questions or Randy, any comments that anyone would like to share.
Well, again, thank you very much for taking your time, Lieutenant Governor. And maybe one from my perspective that kind of we've been talking about a lot of issues, a lot of the things that you mentioned we've touched on at least. The one thing that when I think of you in the last couple of years, which you've elevated, you might recall, well, you will recall because we went to your alma mater in late 2019. We embedded computer science into the Choose Ohio First Scholarship Program because you thought it was really important that we speed up our engagement in that. Tell me a little bit about we have a new commission on computer science that Mike Duffey is leading, and I know you've encouraged that to happen, and we're doing more in high schools on computer science. Give us a minute or two on what you've learned about computer science and why that is so important, almost no matter what field or discipline you might major in a college or university.
Yeah, because when you look at economic development and you talk about all of the people who are looking to move operations or grow operations, that's the skills in the realm of computer science are the ones that they're looking for the most. those are the ones that are critical. Those are the ones that are that high-end innovative companies can't grow or won't be in your state if you can't supply that level of talent. That's why in creating the 3 innovation districts that Jobs Ohio has created, part of the metrics and working with many of you, the university partners, are an increased output in STEM talent. We're just not going to be a state that grows at the rate that we want to without that STEM talent. And your campuses are the places that we are most able to grow that talent. And it's just critical to the economy, whether you're in healthcare or in manufacturing, research. Computer science talent is essential to our growth, and it's where the demands are. As we look at the kinds of jobs for the future, it's where it's at. And I'll close, I guess, Randy, asking your question. One of the first meetings Governor DeWine and I had was with a major automobile manufacturer, and I talked a lot about computer science and tech with that manufacturer. And the manufacturer said to me, "So, well, wait a minute, aren't you interested in manufacturing, and what we do?" And I said, "Well, you spent the last 10 minutes explaining to me how your company is transitioning to electric self-driving automobiles, and that's tech. Even though you're manufacturing, it's tech." And the CEO of this company said, "Yeah, I guess that's right. We're all tech these days." And that's why computer science is so important.
Well, I knew that would not be a difficult question for you, knowing your passion and your involvement in that. You've sent me a number of emails, and we've had conversations about that importance. So anything else, Lieutenant Governor, for us? If not, we have a couple concluding comments, but otherwise we're nearing the end of our program. We did have, by the way, the Adjutant General spoke also with us today, and the value of you mentioned cybersecurity, and he mentioned that, and he's doing a great job in helping lead our cybersecurity efforts in the state. So wanted to know that we also had the Adjutant General on today as well in our conference.
Yeah, I just in closing, Randy, I would say, look, the jobs you all have are really important. You as trustees and as leaders of your institutions, you have to create the vision that you want everybody to follow, and you got to drive that down through the institution to create the culture, a winning culture. We hear about winning cultures in sports all the time. Randy and I being sports guys as we are, but culture wins. The right culture creates the right attitude, and everybody lines up and follows. And it's up to you to establish that culture at your institutions and create that winning culture. So thank you for what you do, and appreciate you taking a few minutes with me.
Thank you. Great to have you with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Well, we are nearing the end of our program, everyone. One additional question that came into the chat, I'm informed, deals with the liberal arts and incorporating the liberal arts with current projections on the workforce. Maybe I'll use Governor Mike DeWine as the answer to that. Who he, as he's hiring people or he's looking at the value of people, he actually has spoken openly of his appreciation for English majors. English majors think well, they write well, they good critical thinkers, and so they're well for the communication aspects of the workforce. But he also acknowledges that an English major without a computer science background, or at least an ability to communicate electronically or technically, is at a disadvantage. So I believe that no matter what field, there's room for an emerging technological background to augment or to enhance whatever we're doing in the liberal arts. When I think of top in-demand jobs in Ohio, I don't think of just specifically one type of a position. If it's in demand to an individual student or family in Ohio, then we care about it. And so I don't know if that can answer fully that question, but I think there's a growing need for a combination of what I call the diversity of opportunity that we have in the state. We have something for everyone, and we just have to make sure that we provide the right information and advocate for that value and how it can help people with their lives. So that's, I guess, I'll have a concluding comment on that. And I know there may be other questions or things that we will be glad to address individually. If there's anything additional that someone wants us to elevate, I sent out yesterday an article from Higher Ed Dive that talked about some of our college comeback initiatives, and it was a national. We have been rapidly become a national leader in striving to help with adult learners and former students, bringing them back to campuses. And I don't know that we deserve that, because that just means that other states are not doing as much as we are. But we never stand still, and we never stop listening. So I will conclude by just simply saying that if it wasn't for Governor Mike DeWine, I wouldn't be speaking with you today. That's how I become chancellor, through the appointment of the governor. He said in our very first cabinet meeting that we must listen carefully to the people of the state, and then we must act with a sense of urgency. And it's been almost 3 years now. In fact, exactly 4 weeks from now, it will be 3 years since we've been in office. I hope we have listened carefully. I think it's pretty obvious we've tried to act with a sense of urgency. And if there's any additional act of urgency or anything additional that you want to elevate to us, please do that. We can only get better if we listen and learn from you. So thanks again, everyone, for participating. We hope it has been informative. We really appreciate your time. It's amazing. Usually on these types of things, there's a lot of drop off as things go on, and we held our audience well, and we appreciate everyone. Thank you for being part of Ohio's mission, and we look forward to continuing to work with you. If I don't see you or talk with you, some of you I will, but most of you I won't. Have a great holiday season, and let's go get them in 2022. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you.